as we were saying before, these shading channels override the other ones. So now that we've plugged this into this image map is no longer being used. So we need to disconnect that one and plug it actually into the output, sorry, the input of the colour on the RNI shader and not the default one. So now if we F9 that and let it render. Okay, so that's looking more like brush metal. Still a bit too much happening with the specularity. It needs to be much tighter, and I think the reflections are probably a bit too strong as well. So let's see what we can do about that. Okay, so let's just change this down to 20%, and let's just check out some of these other options. And one other little thing I want to do, I want to put dispersion on 100%, which just gives you a little bit of colour variation on the reflections. And let's just check 90% on the diffuse. Let's try 80 on that one actually. And let's leave that as it is. Let's just see what that gives us. Okay, that's looking much better. Okay, now obviously this is a reflective object, so the surface parameters of this are a function of their environment. So if we've got a very bright environment like we have here, the resulting surface is going to look very bright. If it was very dark, then it would look very dark. So what we can do is we can give it something to reflect over on this side here, which is just to sort of define the surface a bit better. So let's just add in a black bounce card. So basically just a 1 meter plane with a black surface attached to it, and let's just rotate this around and move it off to the right, and then also let's bring it up because it's on its center, something like that. And if I bring up the properties for that object, I don't want it to cast any shadows, and I also don't want to see it in the camera. So let's see what that gives us. And let's let this render. Okay, so there we go. We can see obviously this dark area here, which gives it a bit of surface definition. We could add other objects in here to reflect and stuff. Now, I think that the specular hit on this is not pronounced enough. So let's modify that. Bring up the sphere surface again, and let's punch in specularity. Let's try that on 100%, and let's see what that gives us. I was going to try actually pushing this over over 100% and see if that gives us a longer specular highlight. Let's try rendering that. Okay, so that's changed it, yeah, a little bit. I think that needs punching up way more than that actually. But you can see we're starting to get something that looks like brush metal now. I think this grain is, if we look at our reference image, the grains actually still needs knocking back a bit more, I think. And I think we also need to punch up these that spec hit again. So let's try 150. Let's try 175, and I'm actually going to change the reflections back again as well. Sorry, this one here. Let's try 25 on that, and let's also bring down the opacity to, let's try 30, and let's see what that looks like. and let it render. Okay, so that's obviously a more pronounced effect. That grain's looking a bit better. Now the reason why this highlight's not really travelling all the way down is because the light is basically quite high up, so we could actually reposition the light and try and get that to stretch a bit further down. But I think I'm going to bring down the specular amount, and also one thing we also need to put on here is reflection blurring. Now I don't think we don't have any option in isotropic reflections to blur it. Anyway, let's bring not that one. Let's bring this down to 120%, and let's try punching up the roughness to 20%, and let's see what that does. And let it render. Okay. Well, I mean that's pretty good for a quick sort of example, really. But you can see how you can change the look of the type of brush metal by changing a few settings in terms of the opacity of the image, and also the amount of reflection, and also the amount of specularity. In fact, actually, I've just realised what's going on here. I've been changing the wrong setting here, haven't I? How ridiculous! So let's put that back up to, let's try 200% on that, and can't believe I didn't spot that. And specularity 130 on that one. Let's give that one a go. Get it right this time. Okay, that's looking more like it. Yeah, always a good tip. Always make sure you change the right parameters. Okay, so that's basically an introduction into the node editor and setting up a brushed metal surface. Hope you find it useful.